ultimately, I think that for all of Americans and really everyone to highlight any of these issues that come up.
Hi guys, welcome to XCOM 2 Long War of the Chosen mod jam. It's about, say about 230 mods, 230, around there. I'll have the mod list right down below on the recording, but right now live, it's not on. Let's see.
So if you bring the court a dispute,
Just gonna make sure.
election takes place before the election's been announced, you can frame that as something that is just fixing the rules under which we're going to proceed. I think the real problem comes after the election, when the result, at least presumptively, is known, and what you're asking the court to do is potentially reverse what it seems like the voters have decided. That's a position they never want to be in. I think we're much more likely to get decent decisions out of it in the run-up to the election, I think, than post-facto.
All right, Kate, so what will you and your colleagues be tuned into while assessing the integrity of election lawsuits filed after November 5th?
Well, I think a lot of the lawsuits...
I like doing those missions a lot, so I always include them.
With some of the issues and the integrity in the ways that states do their elections, but practically speaking, unless there is such a small margin that one side can show that a certain number of irregularities would actually reverse the outcome, then they're not going to have much of a leg to stand on. So it is important for them to address these issues ahead of time to the greatest extent possible without going to rule any of the post-election challenges, in my opinion.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us, Katie Cherkowski. Take care. We'll see you after the election. Eric?
You know, our Republicans currently voted terrorists. The balance of power there, well, it's hanging on a handful of very competitive congressional races. One of those happen to be in California. That's where the Foundation was calling in Los Angeles. They're breaking all of that down. Interesting.
Hi, Eric. National Party leaders have been visiting the Golden State to help their respective parties gain power in Congress. California has 56 more than any other state. California Democrats have split 5 of the states on to help their own and gain control of the House. Only a handful of seats separate the two parties in the House, with 220 Republicans, 212 Democrats, and 3 vacancies. Democratic House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries wants that gavel. He campaigned here in Southern California for Democratic House candidates Bill Tran and George Whiteside during the final days of this election to try and flip the House. Whiteside is a former aerospace executive trying to unseat Republican candidate Mike Garcia and former Mayor Victoria's House Speaker Mike Johnson is serving several years ago against his Democratic challenger, Bill Waller, by 11,000 votes. And the two are up against each other again this election season, once again, trying to address top voter concerns in California, which include economy, housing affordability, homelessness, and crime. Former President Donald Trump also endorsed
But everybody needs
two Republicans are fighting to win the White House races in Orange County. In this state, and they say Orange County has really centralized in recent years. Prominent Democrats have shifted for the Democratic leads the polls by a wide margin. it. I recommend enamel active shields because it actively shields the enamel. I think this product is a game changer for patients. Before we start, we lost free portion. It makes it really easy to keep them use up your shopping. 2 rows, 2 dogs. So, oh, wow. Let's Scars. This puppy has been in an accident. But CarFacts.com shows how an accident impacts price. So you know. This is cool. Yeah, sorry, they fall. The all-new CarFacts.com. This is an important message for everyone on Medicare. Right now is the Medicare annual enrollment period, and today we are talking about Medicare Part C, commonly called Medicare Advantage. If you don't have a Medicare Part C plan, call now. You may be eligible for plans in your zip code with additional benefits or cost savings. You may be receiving now, or you may have previously made available to you. Different Part C plans are available in different parts of the country, so don't wait. Call the number on your screen now. If you're on Medicare, you could call even if you called last year. We will check to see if there is a Part C plan available in your area with additional benefits or cost savings. Call to speak with a licensed insurance agent before the end of the annual enrollment period. You don't get Medicare Part C benefits automatically, so call now for your free 2025 no obligation Medicare benefits review. Just call 800-454-1178. 800-454-1178. This is an important message for everyone on Medicare. Right now is the Medicare annual enrollment period, and today we are talking about Medicare Part C, commonly called Medicare Advantage. If you don't have a Medicare Part C plan, call now. You may be eligible for plans in your zip code with additional benefits or cost savings you may not be receiving now, or they may have previously not been available to you. Different Part C plans are available in different parts of the country, so don't wait. Call the number on your screen now. If you're on Medicare, you can call even if you called last year. We will check to see if there is a Part C plan available in your area with additional benefits or cost savings. Call to speak with a licensed insurance agent before the end of the annual enrollment period. You don't get Medicare Part C benefits automatically, so call now for your free 2025 no obligation Medicare benefits review. Just call 800-454-1178. 800-454-1178. Next January, one of us will be president. If it's Donald Trump, he will wake up every day and stew over his enemies' list. That will help help. If I am president, I'll be focused on my to-do list. Review the American people. I'll cut costs by cracking down on corporate price gouging, make housing more affordable,
Pig Hill.
just for middle-class families, and protect social.
I don't think I've been here.
I will focus on getting things done. I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Never been to Pig Hill.
One of my favorite supplements is Qunol turmeric. Turmeric helps with healthy joints and inflammation support, and Qunol is the #1 doctor-recommended form of turmeric. Qunol, the brand I trust. Consumer Cellular is lowering the price for those 50 and up. Get 2 unlimited lines for $30 each. That's just $60 a month. So switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage satisfaction. Visit consumercellular.com today.
When you can't watch, listen. Get the latest news, business, and news headlines on SiriusXM. Anytime, anywhere. Fox News Audio on SiriusXM. I'm easy listening.
We're created by the false gods of peace.
That is where Democratic
We retain all that we were and more, and our prowess in battle serves us well in our cause. In close combat,
balance the budget. Here's how he's going to do it. He's going to cut $2 trillion from discretionary spending. Now, for some of you, this budget gets kind of big and all that, but just to give you an idea of what that means, all the discretionary spending that the government does in a year is $1.6 trillion.
as you order.
So just to be clear, at least they're telegraphing what they're going to do. If they do that $2 trillion cut, it means they cut Medicare and Social Security. That's the only way they can do it. J.D. Vance said they absolutely have to go after those things. He called Social Security, the biggest impediment to fiscal sanity. Donald Trump called it a Ponzi scheme. Our family called it a lifesaver when my dad died and we needed Social Security survivor benefits to get by. That's the way we're. Look, we're hardy people. Hell, in Minnesota, we walk on water half the year. That's where we are. We're tough. We're tough. And we don't mind pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps, but we didn't have any bootstraps. That's what Social Security and Medicare do for so many of us in Medicaid.
Already there.
Now this week, I like it though that they're getting pretty cocky about things, so they're saying the quiet stuff out loud now. Speaker of the House Johnson, you know that guy that took them like 15 guys to go through until they finally found someone to get it. And everybody's like, who the hell's this guy? Well, he's the Speaker of the House now. And he said, yeah, we're going to have to get rid of the law.
Got it. Moving.
And all of us knows what that means is the reason that the ACA is so popular, for the first time in American history, insurance companies couldn't deny us care for pre-existing conditions. Because we know how that works. Insurance companies are pretty good at this. They like to insure healthy people. And then they like to make it difficult to pay out claims. And they like to leave the rest of us sitting out there without anything. The ACA fixed that. Now, give Donald this. He's had 9 years, and a couple months ago, he came up and he said he had a concept with the plan.
Rolling out.
And Republicans saying, then he went on to say, and this is really interesting.
These guys make up
J.D.
the bulk
Vance
of
was
the
saying,
advent forces we
Donald
live
Trump has
with.
been a big
They're
supporter
disciplined
of
and well
the
equipped,
ACA.
but their obedience
Donald
makes them
Trump was there.
despicable.
Donald Trump ran on getting rid of the ACA. He signed an executive order his first day in office to get rid of the ACA. He signed under a lawsuit to get rid of the ACA. And he tried 60 times to get rid of the ACA. If it wouldn't have been for the courage of John
What
McCain,
you up here?
Well, there's some of the Democratic platform from Vice President nominee Tim Walz, campaigning and Flagstaffers. Right now.
Yeah, Eric, President Biden also on the campaign trail for Vice President Harris, this time returning to his hometown of Scranton, Pennsylvania. It is his second visit to the crucial swing state in 2 days. Alexandria Park is live in Scranton. Hi, Alex.
IFL, yeah, last night was a White House event in Philadelphia with union workers, and today in Scranton it is all about campaigning. And that is whether or not the Harris campaign, which is itself, President Biden, thinks it's going to help or not.
I come here today not just because of all the work we've done together as unions, to talk about what's at stake for all of us. Your mothers, your fathers, your sisters, your brothers, your friends, the kids you grew up with.
But the working class push that he was making during campaigning in general is still in the shadow of the comments he made about Trump supporters and garbage. Of course, he maintains he would say that all Trump supporters are garbage, just a comment by a comedian that he had made disparaging about Puerto Rico. But the Trump Force 47 tour bus, it is heading across the state right now this weekend. And we met up with one of the people who was on the Mississippi Republican Senator, Sadie Hyde-Smith. She told us that the president's comment about garbage is echoing from the Commonwealth.
When we were at a stop, I bet you there were 3, 4, or 5 garbage trucks that came by honking the horn so loud that we turned around and looked and realized it was that.
Now, the Trump team did receive a legal victory in critical swing Bucks County this week. That's when a judge ruled that a process called on-demand mail-in voting was extended by 2 days. It was originally cut off on Tuesday. It was extended Friday after voters were in line earlier this week and turned away early. And in Erie County, a judge ruled that up to 17,000 voters who had not received their mail-in ballots that they had requested, that they can vote early in person through Monday. Now, during Biden's visit here at Scranton, he did say something else that caught a bit of attention. It's been going kind of wild online. He was criticizing former President Trump, and in the same breath said that these are the kind of guys you'd like to smack on the behind. I said behind, he didn't say behind. We're still trying to figure out exactly what he was talking about there. I'll send it back to you.
Take you back here, Alexandria Park. They're live in Scranton. Thank you, Eric.
But now the final jobs report before the election is up from President Trump. Trying to highlight that, week numbers saw 12,000 jobs added. But the Harris campaign responds by saying the report covered a shorter time period and that unemployment remains a low 4.1%. Meantime, the administration is trying to secure a deal and the fighting, at least on that at the White House. We find Lucas Thomas, White House correspondent. Hey, Lucas.
Good afternoon, Eric. And this new jobs report comes amid those hurricanes and worker strikes. President Biden is not campaigning worked alongside his vice president since Labor Day, and this could be the reason why, in part, this latest jobs report, another is not came together. 12,000 jobs created, 113,000 were expected. Now, the Boeing strike subtracted 44,000 jobs in there. There's now revisions lowering 112,000.
Moving to designated position.
Now, the White House released a statement yesterday where there's no mention of the vice president's routine with other jobs reports. It says in part, in October, unemployment was unchanged at 4.1%, but the devastation from hurricanes Helene and Milton and new strike activity lowered job growth. Job growth is expected to rebound in November as a hurricane recovery rebuilding efforts continue. We did hear from Donald Trump on the jobs report earlier on Fox.
They came up with the worst jobs report. You know, I would say in history almost. But it goes back many years where 12,000 jobs, that's like for a little piece of a company. 12,000 jobs were created. 100,000 manufacturing jobs were on it.
President Biden didn't mention the jobs were 15 strong. Factories from the Wilmington were officially for the rest of the weekend and likely not going to be controlled.
This is for you! Target
Well, Eric and Lucas, Iran's supreme leader saying a new threat to Israel after those IDF strikes in Tehran last week. A live update from the Middle East is up.
They might need this. It's dead. They'll have to be dead.
Stay in your moderate to severe eczema. And show off clearer skin, less itch with Dupixent, the #1 prescribed biologic by dermatologists and allergists to help heal your skin from within. Serious allergic reactions can occur and can be severe until you got new or skin eye problems such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop having medicine without talking to your doctor. Ask your eczema specialist about Dupixent.
4 years ago, we took a wrong turn and lost our purpose. We lost the strength that makes Americans who we are. If we dared to speak the truth, it was called hate speech, and our values were labeled shameful. That's when everything we cared about fell apart. We surrendered our orders, our paychecks, and our courage. Our patriotism was called toxic. Men could beat up women with medals. But there was no prize for the guy who got up every day to do his job.
Package.
Now, baby has to settle for the way things are. And we're wondering if America can make a comeback. We can. Because we've done it before. When we get knocked down, we don't stay down. We get up again. We fight. We fight. We fight. I know, Jake, how can I read this message?
If you're on Medicare, remember the annual enrollment period is here.
No.
The time to choose your coverage ends December 7th. So call United Healthcare to get coverage you can count on with our broad range of plans, including an AARP Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. It can combine your hospital and doctor coverage with prescription drug coverage and more, all in one simple plan for a low or $0 monthly premium. You'll have $0 annual physical exams, lab tests, and preventive care. Plus, get more for your Medicare dollar with $0 copays on covered routine dental services, a $0 financing with an eyewear allowance, and $0 copays on hundreds of prescriptions. Connect with United Healthcare today and let us help find a plan for your needs. Ask about the all-in-one member view card too, and how it opens doors to a simpler Medicare experience. Call or go online today.
Only the best.
When was the last time you checked in on your car? With Cardio Mobile, your personal EKG device, you can check it from home using your smartphone.
I use Cardio Mobile every day, sometimes twice a day.
This one's gonna be bright.
Feel pretty good about it. It's a complete game. I mean, you might as well be in the doctor.
Whatever
There's a way
you
that
say.
I can get patients down there, or they have to EKG in their body.
With Cardio Mobile, you can take a medical grade EKG in just 30 seconds from anywhere. Cardio Mobile is proven to detect atrial fibrillation, one of the leading causes of stroke, and it's the only personal EKG that's FDA cleared to detect normal heart rhythm, bradycardia, and tachycardia.
Having Cardio Mobile, it's a peace of mind.
It's your cardio.
Checking your heart anytime, Winter has never been easier, and Cardigan Mobile is now HSA eligible. Get Cardigan Mobile today for just $79 at Cardigan.com.
Target neutralized.
Want the effects of Viagra, but faster? Meet Rose Sparks. They contain sildenafil and tadalafil, the active ingredients of Viagra and Cialis. With Sparks, dissolve one at a time. Dissolve a whole work faster.
What am I doing with this?
Plus, tadalafil, the active ingredient in Cialis, stays in your system for long-lasting results. Faster acting and long-lasting? We got it. See if Sparks are right for you at road.com/sparks.
Iran's Remake Ayatollah Ali Khamenei promised a, quote, Russian response to Israel and the U.S. after the IDF hit those military targets in Tehran last week. You know, this comes as the Pentagon is moving up troop deployments and weapons. Chip, that hit off the York with more on this. I'm out.
Hi, Eric. There is a lot of uncertainty in the air here tonight. Iran has already promised that it will retaliate against Israel. Now, throughout the day, Iran's nuclear leader has been threatening Israel and the United States. Which will to the end, whether the design intrusion or the United States of America definitely receive a crushing response to what they're doing. The Iranian people and resistance. Israel has already warned Iran and any other entity that the IDF is at, quote, peak readiness, both offensively and defensively. These threats from Iran come after peace talks this past week fell flat. U.S. officials told Fox they were hopeful, but Hamas and Hezbollah have not accepted any deals. This past week, a U.S. delegation that was Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu put a special envoy to Lebanon in his talks team. Earlier in the week, our CIA Director William Burns also participated in peace talks. At this moment, the talks of ceasefire and 101 hostages remain in Gaza. And we're following Israeli reports that allege people within Netanyahu's inner circle have been leaking damaging documents to foreign sources, which jeopardize these peace talks. In particular, a very close aide of the Prime Minister is being accused of these. Now, Netanyahu's office says that writing tonight, quote, the person in question never participated in security discussions, was not exposed or received classified information, and did not take part in confidential visit. Now, there is a gag order on this domestic story here in Israel. It is expected to go to court tomorrow, and we'll keep you updated on that. Eric McDuff and Hamas Hezbollah game on. And thanks.
Strong early voting turnout in North Carolina with 58% of registered voters casting ballots. VP Harris is making the state will swing one way. She's campaigning in Charlotte right now.
Roger that.
To turn the page on a decade of Donald Trump trying to keep us divided and afraid of each
Fuck.
Get it together.
On it.
And here's one of the things we know about. This is your life. And this is someone who is increasingly unstable.
It's dead. It has to be dead.
Revenge.
Burning through ammo fast.
Consumed with revenge. And the man is out for unchecked power. So
You know that was good.
is in on being released in the office.
Full intel located. Target eliminated.
Positive confirmation. Area secured. Status confirmed. Mission.
Excellent. It's one of the best missions I think I've ever had.
20 years of peace and prosperity will not be undone by the reckless actions of a few misguided dissidents today. We stand with the elders, trust in their wisdom, and we shall overcome this crisis.
What this means and the choice that is in front of us. Imagine and let's ask the friends who are not here to imagine the Oval Office. You see it on TV, right? Imagine the Oval Office. And if he is elected, Donald Trump on day one would be sitting in that office, stewing over his enemies list. And I am elected. I log in on my to-do list.
Tell them they can kiss my ass along with the rest of yous.
Until it is done, there can be no other path for us.
Cool.
Incoming transmission.
Impressive, isn't it? Capable of generating immense power, yet completely harmless to human life. If only the same could be said for the rest of the aliens' technology. Commander. Dr. Richard Tigan, Chief Science Officer. I am responsible for the entirety of our research here, as well as the procedure you so recently underwent. Welcome to my lab, such as it is. I'm not sure what symptom you're showing, but we found something while removing it from the alien stasis suit. A device implanted directly in your occipital lobe. Had I access to the equipment available to me during my tenure at Advent, I would already know the precise nature of its function. However, given time and your approval, of course, Commander, I assure you, I will find out. Which brings to light an additional point. Though aspects of this facility are indeed impressive, I am but one man. With additional support personnel and resources to me, I could substantially improve the speed of all our research.
Medicare. Do you have the coverage you need? Medicare plans can change every year. And right now is the 2025 Medicare annual enrollment period. Do you know about Medicare Part C plans, also called Medicare Advantage? Are you confused about what a Medicare Part C plan covers and what benefits you can get in your zip code? Different Part C plans are available in different parts of the country. Do you have the coverage?
The more intriguing.
2025 Medicare Advantage plans are now available. So now's the time for everyone on Medicare to call for your free Medicare benefits checkup. Call the number on your screen to speak with a licensed insurance agent. Get your questions about your Medicare coverage answered, and see what additional benefits are available to you in your zip code. A Medicare Part C plan could help you save money and include additional benefits. Enrollment in a Medicare Part C plan is not automatic. You should call now, even if you called last year. You could be eligible for plans with additional benefits or cost savings you may not be receiving now, or that may have previously not been available to you. Medicare Advantage plans can change every year. Call now before the Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th. With just one call, you can see if there are changes to your plan in the coming year, or there is a 2025 Medicare Advantage plan available to you in your zip code with additional benefits you didn't get last year. Call now during the annual enrollment period for your free 2025 Medicare benefits checkup.
You can make gravy out of that.
Benefits checkup are absolutely
If you take that and use it for gravy.
Make sure you have the coverage you need.
Call 800-454-1178. That's 800-454-1178.
Let's see.
Commander, you'd be surprised how big of a difference some of these things can make in combat.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving us with a ton of extra mind pillows. But you know what? That's their loss. I'm going to make it your game. For the first time ever, you get standard classic mind pillows for wholesale prices. Only $14.88. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, I'm going to offer my entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Upgrade to a queen size mind pillow for just $18.88. King size only $1 more. And my body pillows for $29.88.
I'll send word when it's up and
Multi-use my
running.
pillows for only $9.88.
You lived in one of the colonies for a few years before linking up with Central, right?
Yes,
Use your
one of
promo
the
code to
advantages
take advantage
of
of
working with
wholesale
that.
pricing.
On the
For
surface, it
first
was
time
very
ever on
comfortable.
TV, including
There
my
was a
standard
price.
size my pillow.
The millions of people in those cities don't seem to mind all that much.
But Advent is
We have
all
limited quantities at this price,
their
so
forces
limit's
in the
going to be
area
taken
themselves,
once
they'd
they're
be
gone, they're gone.
Not to mention the automated system. Providing
Monsters
identification
Alert, you're looking
to a
at
lamp.
two competing rallies for Vice President Harris on the left of your screen and former President Trump on the right, underway in two key battleground states. Trump and Harris are making one final push through those crucial states, as are their VP picks, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. Just 3 days to go until Election Day. Trump is speaking at 3 different rallies today in North Carolina and Virginia, while Harris hosts rallies in Atlanta and Charlotte. Good evening, I'm John Scott, and this is a special 2-hour edition of the Fox Report. We go first to Alexis McAdams, live in Greensboro, North Carolina, where former President Trump will cap off his busy day later this evening. Alexis.
Your old man would be proud of
Hey,
what
John,
we
yeah, the
managed to
line is
do
already
here.
forming here in Greensboro, North
You've
Carolina.
managed to
And
do
that's
with this
because
ship.
this
Just
thing
wish
is
we'd
down
lived
to
long
dead.
enough to see
That's
us
why
fight
former
back.
president is hitting
To
the
know
ground
that
hard
it wasn't
now
all for
in the
nothing.
Target
Trust
state.
me,
You don't have to look
he
at some of
knows.
the polls. You just have to
And there was
look
one
at
thing
the
your
former
father always
president's
kept in
campaign
mind
schedule
was
to
his
figure
faith
out
in
that
humanity.
he's close. He's going to be
He
in
knew
North
we
Carolina,
could
John,
win
4
on
times
our
in
own
the next
terms.
3 days, and that one will be later tonight in just a few hours. Out here on the ground, people tell me the economy is their top issue. Take a look here at your screen. This is just a few hours ago when the former president was talking about the economy.
You're
And
gonna
he
become
plans to do things,
important.
asking voters if what they would like him to do when it comes to jobs and also cash back in their pockets. He also talked about border and crime, which are major issues on the trail. Trump won North Carolina last election, but President Biden beat him in Guilford County. That's where I am right now. Today's the last day of early voting in the state, and more than half the state has already hit the polls. This election, more registered Republicans will cast their ballot in the Target state than Democrats.
which is a big shift since 2020. Back out here live, it all comes down to this, John. The former president has been asking this at his rallies. Trump says to the crowd, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And most people say no. That's what people here told me also in the line. They say they're spending more and more on basic things, including gas and groceries, and they can't take it anymore. John.
In the western part of North Carolina, they're still cleaning up after those devastating post-hurricane floods. Is there any indication how much that has affected the early voting places?
Yeah, in some of those areas, people had originally had major concerns, John, that they weren't going to be able to get to the polls. So it's something we're still trying to wait and see. But to see that big voter turnout in some of the other areas, we won't know exactly.
That's a good one.
Yet, to have that trickle-in effect. But people here on the ground said they thought it was better to get their vote in as early as possible because they have to take a while to get that counting done, and they have some concerns about that. They want to make sure
Commander,
they got it.
each of our soldiers is rated
And
based
what
on
about
their
the issues
understanding of our
in
tactics
Carolina?
and
Are they
capabilities, something we refer to as combat
The
intelligence.
economy is
Because
number
of
one.
their unique experiences in the field,
Yeah, when you go
our
out and you talk to
faction
these
soldiers
people, no
from
matter
the
if I'm in
resistance
Michigan, where I just
gain
was
access
yesterday,
to
and
new
out here in North
abilities
Carolina, they
based
talk
on this
about
combat
the economy
intelligence.
because that's what they think about every single day, right? You have to look at your taxes, you have to look at what you're paying for your gas, your groceries, and your housing, and they said they're paying more now than they ever did. So they're not really interested in talking about personalities. People complain about, Trump's rhetoric, which when the comments he makes at rallies, these people said they don't really care. They're paying so much now for basic necessities that they're like, we have to do something else. So we'll see exactly what happens. But when you look at those polls, it's down to the wire here, and he barely has any time left to make that final push. So that's what he plans to do tonight. John.
All right, Alexis McAdams, Ames, Greensboro, North Carolina. Alexis, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there's a lot still up in the air with just 3 days to go. Some last-minute polls showing Trump momentum in some traditionally blue states like Minnesota and New Hampshire. Here to weigh in is Wall Street Journal editorial page assistant editor and Fox News contributor James Freeman. Minnesota potentially in play, James? That's pretty astounding considering that's the home of Tim Walz, the Democrat vice president.
Yeah, truly astounding. I think winning Minnesota for Donald Trump would suggest a national landslide. We've seen now in several elections in a row, especially ones involving Donald Trump, polling beforehand tends to be extremely inaccurate. Now, I think because of this, there's an expectation on some people's parts that it's going to be just as wrong again in favor of his opponent, and therefore maybe Mr. Trump is headed toward a blowout victory. But you have to assume that a lot of pollsters, mindful of this past bias against Trump, have tried to correct for that in their samples, but you just never know.
Yeah, the polling has been off in the last couple of elections, and let's see what this one, how it all turns out. I think we can put up on the screen the Minnesota numbers: 48% for Harris and 45% according to the Minnesota Post poll, with the almost 2.5%. So you could easily reverse those numbers on the screen, and they would still be considered accurate. We can also look at a state like New Hampshire, where 49.8% of the vote in New Hampshire, according to the New Hampshire Journal, 49.8 voters favor Kamala Harris, and 50.2% favored Trump. Now, again, inside the margin of error, so you could flip those numbers, but pretty astounding for a state like New Hampshire that hasn't voted Republican for president in quite some time.
Yeah, if those numbers are accurate, obviously the Trump campaign would be feeling ecstatic, and maybe they are feeling ecstatic. That would suggest a blowout, well over 300 electoral votes. And the Minnesota thing would be astounding and bitterly ironic, I'm sure, for everyone involved in the Harris campaign, because at this point, a lot of the questioning about that pick has been, did she make a mistake in not choosing Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, given that importance of Pennsylvania and that big 19 electoral vote prize? But in addition to losing Pennsylvania, they also ended up losing Tim Walz's home state. Wow, that's going to be maddening, and I'm sure a source of discussion in Democratic circles for a long time.
The Ranger serves as our primary reconnaissance, capable of moving independently in concealment while engaging enemies at close
One of the
range.
astounding things is just how many people have already voted in this country. More than 70 million early votes cast. Are you seeing anything in the registration numbers that give you some clues as to where this thing might go?
Well, certainly Republicans are very enthusiastic in a number of the battleground states, including Arizona, including Pennsylvania, in terms of how they've been able to whittle down the Democratic advantage traditionally in voter registration. As far as early voting, also a lot more Republicans voting early this time than last time, but I'm not sure that necessarily means too much in terms of the final result, because obviously Donald Trump has been encouraging early voting this time and discouraged it last time. So we don't really have a baseline to measure, because Republicans tended to vote more on Election Day, and now obviously they're embracing early voting in a big way. And Republican campaign officials love that, because just like Democrats, they love to be able to track the progress of the turnout and the vote in specific areas before Election Day, to know where to focus their ground game, their efforts to bring other people to the polls. And of course, you have this other phenomenon, which is that I know a lot of people lament our current polarized politics, but citizens are very engaged. The 2020 turnout at 2/3 of the eligible voting population in the U.S. was the highest it had been in over 100 years. So this is exciting. We have people engaged in democracy, but it also does make it extremely hard to predict, because a lot of what's happening now is people are just wondering not just how are those undecideds going to fall, but how many people are going to show up. How many people who are not frequent voters, or maybe who never voted, are going to show up. And based on the big surge in turnout in 2020, obviously a lot of stuff with COVID and expanded opportunities to vote is part of that. But I think a big question now, and the focus for both campaigns, is trying to bring out, not just to persuade undecideds, but to bring out those reluctant or occasional or unlikely voters who, if they show up, would be inclined to vote for a particular candidate.
Yeah, we're going to be talking a bit more about that in another segment of this hour, but I want to put up on screen the 6 real toss-up states according to the Fox News Power Rankings. Georgia, Michigan, North Carolina, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Those 6, James, are likely the ones to decide this election, although I've seen some polling out of Nevada that looks very favorable for Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think if you look at the polling averages, only Michigan and Wisconsin is there a Harris lead, and obviously a very small one. The former president leads in the rest of the battleground states. And if Minnesota and New Hampshire downplay, that he's maybe feeling even more optimistic. Yeah, we have to offer the usual caveat. There are a lot of slim leads everywhere. So very tight race across the battleground. But certainly at this moment, based on polling, based on the registration numbers you referenced, again, who knows if the polling is accurate, but you'd much rather be in Donald Trump's shoes right now than Kamala Harris.
Yeah, what a long, strange trip it's been since, that debate where it was Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. And then all of a sudden, a couple of weeks later, Joe Biden was out of the race and we had a completely different candidate on the Democrat side of the president. It has been a wild election, James. Let's get your thoughts on it.
It gets stranger and longer, so let's hope for a decisive result on Tuesday night.
All right, yeah. We can all go to bed early, maybe. James Freeman from the Wall Street Journal. Thanks. Well, Vice President Harris campaigned in Atlanta, Georgia today, a state that was decided by less than 12,000 votes in 2020. Remember that? Madison Allworth is also there in each state, just a little farther south in Macon, where First Lady Jill Biden campaigned for Vice President. Madison.
Hi, John. It was all hands on deck for the Harris campaign here in Georgia today. Dr. Jill Biden was in the building behind me earlier this afternoon,
energizing voters, encouraging them to get out, to knock doors, and to bring their neighbors and friends to the polls on Tuesday. And part of the reason for her being here is because so far, this county is behind the rest of the state when it comes to early voting. Statewide, 55% of active voters cast an early ballot here in Georgia, smashing early voting records for the state. But in Bibb County, where Macon, where I stand, is located, turnout was 45%. And among Black voters, who are the majority of residents here, turnout was 40%. It is a group that tends to vote for the Democrat ticket. But we've talked to some voters, while some are supporting Harris, others are undecided. And they said they will vote on Election Day, but they don't know who for yet. Take a listen.
Oh, definitely undecided. Yes, I am. But by Tuesday, I have my mind made up, and I will go to the polls and vote.
Just concerns about or who to vote for, So, people about 50-50 on the fence. So I think they're just trying to make the final decision on who they want to vote for. And come Tuesday, I think those numbers are going to go up big time.
Many believe that the lack of participation in this area is due to economic issues. The median household income in Bibb is just under $49,000 a year, whereas for the entire state, it's $71,000 a year. That indecisiveness is drawing attention from Republicans, particularly from the top of the ticket. Former President Donald Trump is going to be right
The
here in
resistance
Macon for
factors
rally
take a more
tomorrow
flexible
night.
approach to
It will be
training
his
than
first time
traditional
visiting the
soldiers.
area
They
this
can
year.
often learn
John?
multiple new
All right,
abilities with each
Madison
promotion.
Allworth in Macon,
You'll
Georgia.
adapt to follow your choices, Commander.
Well, Georgia and North Carolina could prove to be pivotal swing states. Former President Trump hopes to keep hold of North Carolina, which hasn't gone blue since 2008. But he's hoping he can win back Georgia, which President Biden managed to flip in one of the more stunning upsets of the 2020 election. Let's bring in North Carolina GOP Congressman Greg Murphy. He sits on the House Ways and Means Committee. There have been a lot of people who have moved into your state over the last 4 years, or really over the last 8 years, Congressman. How does that bode for your party and
incoming transmission?
Well, hey, John, I think it actually bodes very well. I looked at our particular district. I'm very blessed to have the beaches and the Outer Banks. We've seen so many individuals who've come, since the pandemic, since the last election. The majority of those individuals are conservative. A lot of them from New England, from New York, California, with trying to escape the nonsense that we're seeing in Democratic states. So I definitely think it's a good thing. Our population is rising, which is risen. It goes very well for the GOP Congress. I want to put up on the screen the latest Fox News poll in North Carolina, and it shows Vice President Harris at 50%, Donald Trump 49%. Again, there's a margin of error here, plus or minus 3 points. So essentially, it's a tie. According to our Fox News poll, it could go either way. You seem to think it's going to go Donald Trump's way. Why? I do, and I think, so many of these polls, John, as you were pointing out a few minutes ago, some of the polls are just so far off base. I think some people are reluctant to admit, good, better, and different, that they're really polling for President Trump just because some of the emotional attitudes that go through that. A lot of Republicans also don't answer their phones. When people are calling them, they're busy, they're doing some work. So I feel very, very good about President Trump taking the state. Remember, this is a military-friendly state. And people have not forgotten the absolute debacle that occurred in Afghanistan. We lost one of our own Marines from Camp Lejeune. So I promise you, that feeling, that sentiment is running deep. We're a very strong military-friendly state, and I think that will carry a lot of weight, along with so many other things. Kamala has just not presented a case to vote for her. She hasn't said, well, I'm going to do what Biden has done in the past. But there's nothing there. And so I think President Trump is making his case. He's obviously very, very energetic, hiding in a basement. And I think President Trump wins out the state.
But somehow she has really flipped her own personal polling numbers around. She was down in the 30s in popularity before she became the Democrats' nominee. And now she's neck and neck, obviously, maybe even ahead of former President Trump. So what do you attribute?
I don't attribute anything to her specifically. The Democratic Party was trying to create a persona that was just not there. Remember, John, 4 months, 5 months ago, before she was ever on the ticket, the Democrats were trying to get her off the ticket. Pelosi was calling for an open convention rather than just anointing her immediately. So this is a persona created by, the fabrication of the Democratic Party and the mainstream media. President Trump is a known plotter. Some folks don't like that party, but people also know that during his presidency we had low inflation, we had respect around the world, and we had peace. So I think when voters go to the poll, sometimes they just have to make the right choice. Elections are emotional things, but I think safety and security of their families, as well as all the inflationary pressures that the Kamala Harris and Biden administration has caused, really are going to move the day and pull the state forward.
I showed the numbers from North Carolina, which is essentially a tie. Kamala Harris up by 1 percentage point. Apparently,
Avenger
a 3
plotting
percentage
new
point.
course.
Commander, the Avengers
Take a look at Georgia, where it's also a
will help us search the
1%
area
race,
for
but it
clues
goes
or
the
other
other way.
resources.
48-47
Take some
in
time,
favor
though.
of Trump.
We've got a lot of
This
ground
margin
to
of
cover.
error, a little
Commander,
bigger
one of our
though,
resistance contacts just
4.7%.
tipped us off to a
Have you
site
spent
that may
enough
be
time
worth
taking a look at
investigating.
Georgia to predict where that race is
so
going?
far
Where
these skirmishers have been
lost it
true
by
to
about
their
12,000
word. Their
votes
operative has just relayed the coordinates of their acting headquarters here, which, considering their history, is a big step for them. It'd be worth spending some time here to investigate the area
challenges as I
and
was
meet
actually
their
up in New
leader,
York talking
Beto.
with Canada the other day. I think there's a national feeling that if you look back at what's happened over the last 4 years, Kamala represents, she's part of that problem for the last 4 years. It's very interesting to see Mrs. Biden out campaigning. She was part of the problem that we had with President Biden, so I don't know that that's really a good idea. I think the people in the country, Georgia, Michigan, all the other folks are going to see that they don't want more of the same. Kamala talks about change. Why didn't she change it over the last 4 years? So we're seeing more and more. I think it really, the momentum definitely is moving in President Trump's favor. Just have to run that through the line, through the tape on Tuesday.
All right, North Carolina Republican Congressman Greg Murphy. It's going to be an interesting race to watch. Thanks for giving us
Now that we have more staff on the engineering team, we can start clearing out space for new facilities to serve. We should
More
keep
Special
looking for more
Democracy
recruits,
24
though.
coverage
We need them to staff
straight
the
ahead
facilities once
on the
they're
Fox.
built.
Thank you for sending additional support staff to assist me, Commander. I will make sure they are put to good use.
I wish my TV provider would choose what I pay for.
I wish my TV provider let me choose what I pay for ever before. When I'm on plane, would you do that?
Would you do that?
Everyone's forgotten who runs this valley. Time to remind them.
You will ruin this family's name.
You destroy me. Destroy yourself.
I took all the risk, and I took it for you. The deal is to kill as much as you can, and I kill you.
Yellowstone. Watch on Paramount Network next week.
A large retail store just canceled our huge order, leaving us with a ton of extra My Pillows. But you know what? That's their loss. I'm gonna make it your gain. For the first time ever, you get standard classic My Pillows for wholesale prices, only $14.88. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, I'm gonna offer my entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Upgrade to a queen size My Pillow for just $18.88. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows for
Let's save this.
and multi-use My Pillows for only $9.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on the screen.
Catch you guys on the next one, alright? Peace.
Wholesale pricing for the first time ever on TV, including my standard size My Pillow, only $14.